Okay, so we are working through the Chapter 4 study guide. And the first ones ask you to write the equation of a line in slope-intercept form. So that's your key. Notice slope-intercept form, right? All right, so slope-intercept form with the given slope and y-intercept. So if we remember, slope-intercept is y equals mx plus b. A little bit darker color for you here. So m is the slope, b is the y-intercept. So I have y equals negative 1/2 x plus 0. Okay? Here, if I have a slope of negative 4, so that's my m, my y-intercept is my b, so y equals negative 4x. And you could do minus 1 or plus negative 1. Either one is an acceptable answer. Okay, so whichever one of these you have is fine. Okay? Let's look at numbers 3 and 4. Number 3 and 4 ask you for an equation in slope-intercept form. This time, however, I have a slope and I have a point. Okay, so I'm going to have to do, remember, I still need, for slope-intercept form, I need a slope and a y-intercept, right? All right, so if I'm y equals mx plus b, I have the m, so I'm going to plug that in. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this point for my x and my y, okay, so that I can solve it for b. So 2 equals negative 2, it's not x, it's going to be negative 1 plus b. So negative 2 times negative 1 would be positive 2. If I subtract that from both sides, I get 0 equals b. So now I have my slope, I have my y-intercept, so my equation is going to be y equals negative 2x. If you want to put the plus 0, you can. It's really not necessary, though. That's completely and totally up to you. Same thing on number 4. So y equals mx plus b. I'm going to plug my slope in. So I have 3/4 x plus b. And now I'm going to use my 8 and negative 2 for my x and y. So I get negative 2 equals 3/4 times the x is 8 plus b. Okay? If I want to do 3/4 times 8, I'm going to take out my calculator and do, let's see, 3/4 times 8 would give me 6. So I have negative 2 equals 6 plus b. Again, solving for b, so minus 6. I get negative 8 equals b. So I have my b, and I have my slope. So I get y equals m x plus b. And of course, you could also do this as 3/4 x minus 8. Okay? Moving along, let's do oh my goodness. Y'all hang tight. There we go. All right, let's do numbers 5 and 6. So this time I have the equation of a line that passes through 2 points. So what I want to do, now I have a little more work cut out for me. I have to find the slope and then the y-intercept. Okay, so for the slope, remember I'm doing y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay? So slope here would be -3 minus -9 over 3 minus 0, which would be -12 over 3, which would be -4. Okay? Y equals mx plus b. So I have -4x plus b. Okay? Pick a point to plug in. -3 equals 4. -4 times 3 plus b. So -3 equals -12 plus b. If I add 12 to both sides, I have 9 equals b. I have my slope, I have my b. So my equation is y equals -4x. Okay? Moving along to number 6. Again, I need to do the slope first. So let's do, we'll do -8 minus -2 divided by 2 minus -10. Same change, same change, change. -8 plus 2 is -6. And 2 plus 10 would be 12. So we get -1/2. Okay, back into my equation. Y equals, I know what m is now. M is -1/2 x plus b. So pick one of your points. I'm probably going to pick the second point, 2, -8. So -8 equals -1/2 times 2 plus b. Multiply here, so -8 equals -1 plus b. If I add 1 to both sides, I find that b equals -7. I'm going to have to come down here just a little bit. I apologize. So the equation for my line would be -1/2 x minus 7. Okay. Let's move on to numbers 7 and 8. He has to think about this today. All right, number 7 is in function notation. So, but we really know that this means that -4 is a point, as well as -2, 2. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the slope between these 2 points. So let's do slope equals 2 minus -4 divided by -2 minus 4. Okay, so same change, change. I get 6 over -6, which is -1. And this time I think I'll use point slope form. Remember, point slope form is y minus y1 equals slope times x minus x1, because the directions do not specify what form your line needs to be in. So I'm going to do, and either point will do, I'll use this first one, y minus -4 equals slope times x minus 4. Okay, so really we probably want to change, we don't want to keep 2 negatives in there, so we want to change this probably to y plus 4 equals -1 times x minus 4, and you can leave it just like that. That's a perfectly acceptable form. I wouldn't do anything else with it unless I really had to. Number 8, same thing. Okay. This time it gives me the slope. Okay, so it's a little bit easier for me. And a point. So I'm just going to plug in y minus y1 equals slope x minus x1. Again, I would probably change this to y plus 6 negative 1/2 times x minus 2. Okay. Now, if I had to have it in slope-intercept form, I could go through and distribute that slope through and manipulate the equation. But unless I'm asked to, there's no sense in doing all that extra work. Okay, numbers 9 and 10 ask you if the lines are parallel and to justify your answer. So for the first, remember, if lines are parallel, that means that they have the same slope. So what I really want to know is I want to know what are the slopes in these lines. Well, the slope here is 1/4, right? And the slope here, because that's the Emmons-Ornian slope-intercept form, is negative 1/4. So the question is, are those the same? No, they're not the same. So no, these lines are not parallel because they have different slopes. Different slopes. Okay? On to number 10. Now, here, I can find the slope of the first equation fairly easily because it's in slope-intercept form. It's 2, right? But this equation is not solved for y yet. It's not in slope-intercept form. So I need to divide both sides by 2 first. And I find out, in fact, that y equals, well, 4x over 2, because remember it goes to both, would be 2x plus 5 over 2. Okay? So the slope for this one is also 2. So yes, these lines are parallel because the slopes are the same. Okay? Look at number 11. Write the equation of the line that passes through 6,3 and is parallel to this line. So being parallel tells us, of course, slope. So it's got to have the same slope. So the slope has got to be negative 3. So I have a point and I have a slope. So I should probably use point slope form. Okay? So when I use 6,3 and negative 3, I get y minus 3 equals slope times x minus 6. Again, I'm just referencing this point. Okay? Same thing here for the next one, but this one, very careful here, says perpendicular. Okay? Now remember, perpendicular means change the sign and flip the fraction, okay, of the slope. So when you look at the equation here, the slope is negative 3. So if the slope is negative 3, then the perpendicular slope, remember that's like over 1, change the sign to positive and flip the fraction. So the new slope is going to be 1/3. So again, I have a point and a slope. So I'm going to have y minus 3 equals slope times x minus 6. Notice the differences here are the slopes in the equation. Okay, parallel, same slope, perpendicular, change it, and flip the fraction. Okay, so 13 and 14, same thing. Parallel, now I'm going through the same point here, right? So parallel means same slope. So my slope is going to be my m here, which is 1/2. My point is 4/7. So again, I would use point slope form. Y minus 7 equals slope times x minus 4. Okay? Perpendicular this time. So change the sign. It's going to be negative. And flip the fraction. So 2 over 1 is 2. And my point again is 4/7. Again, I would use point slope every time I could. y minus 7 equals slope times x minus 4. All right, number 15 is asking us to look at this line here and do some calculations. So they first ask us for the cost per month, and cost per month just is a rate of change here, so it's asking for the slope is all we need to find. So I've got 2 points if you look at the graph. So I could very easily here find the slope. So for the slope, I'm going to subtract the y's. So I'm going to do 205 minus 100 divided by 5 minus 2. So 205 minus 100 would be 105 divided by 3. So let's see, 3 goes into 10 3 times with 1 left over, 35. So the cost per month is $35 per month. Okay? So that's your slope in the line. The initial membership fee, which is the y-intercept, right? So to find the y-intercept, what we need to do, so we can kind of look at the equation and we can guesstimate it, right? Or what we can do, which is more accurate, is we're going to use these 2 points to find it. Okay, we're going to use that y equals mx plus b. We're going to plug in the 35 that we know. That's going to go for the m. And we're going to use one of these points for x and y. So y is 100 and x is going to be 2. And we're going to solve this for b. Okay, so 35 times 2, I'm going to come right up here, is 70. So I have 100 equals 70 plus b. If I subtract the 70 to solve for b, I get 30. Okay, so the initial membership fee is going to be $30. Now, had you just looked at this graph, you may not have been able to tell exactly what the membership fee was. Okay, so that's the good thing about using the equation there to find the exact value. Now, slope-intercept form, well, I have a slope, I have an intercept, so I can easily say that the slope-intercept form of the line would be 35x plus 30. Okay? Easy peasy. All right, let's move on to the next one. So here we're given that the hiker gets dropped off 8 miles from camp and walks 3 miles per hour. So the per here is telling me that this is my rate, which is the same thing as my slope. Okay, and dropped off 8 miles from camp means this is my starting point, okay, or my y-intercept. So to put this in the equation, a linear equation, I would do 3x. And if he's 8 miles from camp, I'm going to say we want to know how far from camp the hiker is. So plus the 8. Okay? So he started out 8 miles away from camp, and every hour he gets another 3 miles away. So by plugging in a value for x, we can find out how far away he is. Okay, look at number 17. If the slope is negative 6 over 5 and the y-intercept is 4, I'm looking for my m to be 6/5, negative 6/5, and my b to be negative 4, which would be b. Okay, slope-intercept form of the equation. So through these 2 points, the first thing I need to do is find the slope. So 4 minus 3 divided by 2 minus 3. 1 over negative 1. So I already know that I'm looking for one that has a negative 1 slope, which means I can already eliminate this one and this one. So it's either B or C. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my slope-intercept formula. And actually, I'm going to use point slope so I can show you how to distribute here. I'm just using this 0.33. So I have y minus 3 equals negative 1x plus 3. And then I add the 3. So I get y equals negative 1x plus 6. Okay. Number 19, again, the first thing I want to do is find the slope. So 0 minus negative 2 over negative 3 minus 4. Same, change, 2 over negative 7. And I can know right away there's only one that has that slope, and that is C. The rest of them won't work strictly on account of their slope. All right, number 20 asks for us to go through the 0.44 and parallel to this line. So I'm looking for one that has the same slope. So looking at these, this is a slope of negative 3, negative 4, 3, and 2. So here, of course, it's got to be this one because they have the same slope. Same thought process with perpendicular. Perpendicular is negative reciprocal, so change the sign to positive and flip it over. So I'm looking for one with a slope of 2. And as I look through these, the only one that has a slope of 2 is, of course, C. Looking at number 22, number 22 is asking me to graph a line that is actually in point slope form. Okay, so because I recognize this being point slope form, and point slope form is y minus y1 slope times x minus x1. Okay, there are a couple different things I can do. I can pull the points out the way I know they are here. But the easiest thing to do is probably going to be to change it over. If I distribute this 2, I get 2x plus 8. Get y by itself so that I have y equals 2x plus 7. And this is a little bit easier form to graph in. So if I graph, go up to 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I have a slope of 2, which means up 2 and over 1. Okay? All right. Let's see. Number 23, which of the following statements is true about the line? So it looks like we're looking at parallel and perpendicular. So let's just go through here and label the slope for each one. The slope of this one is negative 2. The slope of this one is negative 1/2. This one's not quite in the right form yet, so I need to get it there. So I've got negative 2x plus 4y equals negative 12, right? So I want to solve it for y. So I'm going to add 2x to both sides. And I have 4y equals 2x minus 12. Divide by 4. And again, because I'm dividing by 4 on the right side and I'm subtracting, that's going to go to both of those pieces. So I have y equals 2 divided by 4 is 1/2. Negative 12, so this negative divided by 4 would be 3. So the slope for this line is going to be 1/2. All right, so A, are lines A and B parallel? No, they're not because they have different slopes, so that can't be right. Are lines B and C parallel? Well, no, because one's got a negative slope and one's got a positive slope. How about A and C? Are they perpendicular? Well, actually, they are because they are the opposite signs and flipped over. So yes, A and C are perpendicular. And if you look, you can tell B and C are not perpendicular because the fractions are not flipped over there. Okay, they're just opposite signs, but not reciprocals of each other. Okay, number 24 asks us to write an equation of the line shown. It's asking which which equation shows the lines shown. So what I would do is I would come through first and find the slope between the 2 points. -4 minus -2 divided by 4 minus 0. Same change. So I get -2 over 4, which is -1/2. Okay. Again, I can kind of do a process of elimination on which ones I know are not the correct answer. It can't be B and it can't be C. And now if you look, the other thing I need is the y-intercept. Well, I can look at the graph and tell it's crossing. B has got to be -2. Looking at these equations, A is the only one that satisfies both of those criteria, so A is the choice. Okay, 25 asked us to graph the equation. So right now it's in standard form, so you could do a cover-up scenario if you wanted to. Looking at this, what I'm going to do, since if I set -6x equal to 4, it's going to give me a fraction. Actually, you know what? Let's go ahead. Let's do cover-up. Let's say -6x equals 4. Divide by -6 on both sides. So I get x equals -2 over 3. So this is my x-axis, this is my y. I'm going to go over -2/3 of the way. Okay? And then for the y, I'm going to say 2y equals 4. I'm going to divide both sides by 2. And I get y equals 2. Okay? Again, I've stressed to you the importance of looking at the form that the graph's in and graphing from the form that it's in without doing a lot of manipulation. That way there's less room for mistakes and errors. Number 26 asked me to find the rate of change during the first 2 hours. So the first 2 hours happens here. So this point is 260 and 0, 0. So rate of change, remember, is slope. And so I want to do 60 minus 0 over 2 minus 0, which is 60 over 2, which is 30. Okay, and it says, what direction is the car traveling the first 2 hours? Because this is a positive slope, that means it is moving to the right. Okay. All right, 27 asked me for the slope and the y-intercept. To do that, I need to manipulate the equation a little bit. I'm going to subtract 6x from both sides. I get -3y equals -6x plus 18. And I'm going to divide by -3 to get y equals 2x minus 6. Okay, so here the slope is 2. And the y-intercept is -6. Okay. 28. Find the value of x so that the function value is 8. So I want to set the function equal to 8 and solve it for x. So I'm going to add 1 to both sides. And I get 9 equals 3x. Divide by 3. So 3 equals x. Okay, so for number 29, what I need to do is first plot the y-intercept, which is 0, and apply the slope. So the slope is 1/2, which means I'm going to go up 1 and over 2. Okay, I'm going to connect from there. And then 30 asked me for a direct variation equation. So with direct variation, remember it's of the form ax, which means my intercept is going to be 0, and you can see that from 0, 0. So really all I need is the slope. So to find the slope between 2 points, and I'm going to choose these first 2 points because they are the easiest, I'm going to do 3 minus 0 divided by 1 minus 0. So I get 3 over 1. So the equation for the line, or the direct variation equation, is 3x.